welcome to Paging Creatives. I'm your host, Bella. Pursuing a creative career can be a frustrating, isolating journey. So I sit down with working artists, taking risks, forging their own paths in hopes to encourage and inspire other artists. And I want us to create a community where we uplift and support one another and even possibly network to further all of our creative endeavors. This episode is brought to you by Aloe. Okay, it's not, but I'm manifesting aloe. But it is our 7th episode. I'm super excited. Welcome the influencer, Shaka. Hey.
I'm good. How are you?
Good. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me. It's amazing.
Okay, so tell me where you are from and how did you grow up?
I'm from Miami, Florida. My family's originally from the Caribbean. So I grew up in Miami, going to high school, playing sports, went to college in New Jersey, went to law school in D.C., and then I came out to L.A.
So that's what I was going to get to. You went through that really quickly. But the law school thing, you have a similar path to my cousin. Tell me about law school.
That was, I always felt like you need to get a legal education, especially as a Black person in this country. I wanted to make sure I had that kind of solid footing. My mom was an architect and retired at 40, went to law school, so I got to kind of grow up with that. And so that was sort of a natural thing for me, but I didn't really want to practice the law. I just wanted to have the knowledge and be able to practice if the entertainment thing didn't work out.
Oh, so you always knew you were going to go that route?
Yeah. I mean, from a kid, I wanted to be an actor, but I also wanted to be a lawyer and a doctor. So I was like, let me do all three.
I like that. So did you ever practice at all?
A little bit, yeah, right after I graduated.
Okay. And then how do your parents feel about you doing this instead of going down that law path?
I think, my mom is nervous about it or was nervous about it in ways, but she also thought that I, did the things I need to do. So, I got the law degree and then I came out and pursued it. But, she said what an easier path it might have been. But I think I wanted to have a life that I enjoyed. I didn't want to work 80 hours a week and for that level of stability, because to me that wasn't stability. That was just sort of like, not really living.
Right. You are the ultimate create your own path because you've built this amazing following and you have all kinds of people coming at you to do brand deals and things like that. And I think what people don't realize is that's a job.
Yeah.
You were so nice to sit down with me and tell me how to do it, and I still haven't because it's difficult. It's discipline.
Yeah.
Talk about how you built that following.
It started really just wanting to get supplements for free. I moved out here and I had a friend who was doing fitness competitions, and I guess I was sort of more naturally fit. I'd just been, working out, playing sports. And he said, wait, you don't lift or you don't have like a bodybuilding routine. You look like this. And he said, you should do competitions. So I started doing fitness competitions. I noticed that people were getting supplements for free. And I said, wait, I would like to cut that out of my budget. And that's how it really started. So I would share the supplements, get them for free, do well on the shows. And I said, wait a minute, you can actually build a brand doing this. You can do more than just the supplements. And that's how it started for me.
How are you transitioning so you can use this for acting?
So when the whole influencer game kind of came up, actually studios started to try to employ influencers because they realized that they had a built-in audience. And so that's what I try to do, is to show different directors that I have a built-in audience, but I can act. And that was the initial problem, is people were just getting people with big followings that couldn't necessarily act well. But I've done my studies. I work out when it comes to acting, and I make sure that I stay on top of my game in that way.
Is there a perfect part for you, or what are you focusing on? Are you focusing more on television or more on film?
I don't really necessarily. I guess more on film, because I feel like I'm able to kind of create my own in that way. But in terms of role, I want something that I guess speaks to me, speaks to the struggles I've had as a Black person in America and living in Los Angeles and trying to make it in the industry. But coming from that perspective, but anything that enriches that narrative, and I think that people can learn from. But I want it to be fun. I want it to be entertaining. I want people to be able to smile about the work that I'm doing.
Agreed. And then, so you do brand deals.
Mm-hmm.
Are you careful about what you do, or do you just take anything, or how do you do that? How do you navigate that?
Yeah, you have to be very intentional. I think I've just seen examples in the industry of people that weren't intentional, and that might have led to short-term success but long-term failure. So for me, it's just about being intentional, having purpose with the brands I deal with. Especially, there's a lot of interest during 2020, and we had George Floyd, and so there was an interest in Black creators, a short-lived interest in Black creators, I might add. But so I had a lot of companies coming at me, but I had to make sure their brand values and ideals were in line with my own.
I like that. I got kind of like in trouble because I had a sponsor for the last episodes and it was an alcohol brand, but I don't drink. At the time, I did drink and I did drink them. So,
Yeah, yeah.
but I do think that there are people who are not necessarily using the products and they're just pushing them and they don't know what it is or know what it does or.
Yeah, like I have to stand by the product. I mean, I'll tell brands if they send me something that I like, I will show people that I've been sent the brand. Thank you for sending this to me. But it's got to work well, and it has to, be something I want to share with people for me to actually promote it or endorse it.
Have you thought about incorporating any of that? Say, if you wrote your own project and having some of those partnerships, maybe even fund that project if you wanted to write your own film.
Yeah, I think I kind of do that a little bit through my brand deals where I'm like, I think about how much money I need for a film and then I say, hey, I'll charge you for this, and I put it towards my projects. So like I've written one short film that we've filmed, it's already out and like making its way through festivals. And so just working on new projects.
Okay. Is that the next thing that you want to do is maybe shoot a feature?
Yeah, absolutely. So my hope is that this short film generates the interest to get funding for a feature.
I love that. And then I wanted to circle back because I didn't ask you this. Where did you go to school?
So I went to Princeton for undergrad and then George Mason for law school.
I just find that so fascinating. My cousin went to Yale. It's like you guys have these Ivy League educations and you're so smart. You're gonna have to use it though.
Well, yeah. But I'll just say testament to my mom on that one because like since I was 5 years old, she said, you're going to an Ivy League school. You're going to an Ivy League school. And so by the time I was of age, it just felt like that's what I had to do. I had no choice. And so I think it kind of made me aspire to that.
Yeah, that's pretty incredible. And I was going to say you'll need it for contract negotiation.
Oh, yeah. It's come in handy. Come very recently, too. Yes.
We met at a Television Academy event because I just kept seeing you at all of them. Mm-hmm. And you were so gracious and so nice. I was just talking to you. Have you been going back to Television Academy events? Do you think that that's a good way to network and find people?
Yeah, I do. Especially if you're in the industry, because that's where industry people are. You work hard to make sure you get your membership in those organizations. So you're dealing with people that are working and trying to network and like expand their reach. So I think networking, especially in person, we saw with the pandemic kind of like not being in person with each other, how it kind of stalled businesses and stalled movement on a lot of stuff because people want to see you, look face to face, trust you, and like to really work with you. And I think that's such an invaluable thing to have.
And then I want to ask you about the thing that's going on in our industry right now, and that's the writer's strike.
I was almost down there at the strike myself. I didn't have enough time to make it. But
that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to pick it first, and I didn't have time either. Yeah. But I am a writer, so of course I support the writer's strike. Mm-hmm. How do you feel about the writer's strike, and how do you feel about SAG, our industry, or the DGA following suit and coming in with that?
Yeah, I mean, of course, as an actor, you see everything dry up. You're like, oh, But at the end of the day, the writers are the ones that empower the actors to really like emote and really, be that thing that we want to like change people and move people. And so without that writing, there's nothing. And then the writers work hard and they create these characters and they live them themselves, And so you need that. It's invaluable. And so I'm right there with the writers, go on strike. They got to be paid fairly and compensated well.
I read an article, I think it was Hollywood Reporter. I'm pretty sure that's what it was, or it could have been Variety, where the creator, one of the writers for Handmaid's Tale, he was driving down the street, driving Lyft, and passed a billboard for Handmaid's Tale, and he wasn't making enough money to even not have that second job. And I was like, well, that's not fair.
Yeah.
So I do think that streamers need to come to the table and they need to compensate writers fairly, but they also need to compensate us fairly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like
you can't get the residuals that you used to get. I'm a recurring character on a streamer and it's paying almost the same, if not less than background.
Wow.
And that's a problem.
Yeah. Yep.
So I think we need to fix that.
We got to come to the table, and the industry just, the studios have gotten stronger and are, using that leverage, I guess. But, collectively we need to come and say, hey, we got to stop this. And I think we're doing that now. So
what were you on the path to creating this following that you've amassed? I'm sure it wasn't always easy. So what did you do when the numbers weren't looking like you wanted them to look? Did you get discouraged? How did you push through that?
Yeah, I mean, I didn't pay attention. I just focused on the content I wanted to create. Because at times I went from very fitness content to more holistic content, and so you start to lose a little bit of your audience. But this is who I am and how I'm growing, and I just have to share that with the people, and that's what got me the audience in the first place, was sharing myself. And so maybe the audience will shift, and it has shifted. And so I gain more after that, after losing some. But it's all about reflecting who you are, and so you have to not pay attention to the numbers.
Yeah, I know you're vegan. The very first time we met at a salad place. And at first I was like, man, I wanted some food. But after we went there, do you know I go there all the time now?
Really? Yeah.
Yeah. So you actually changed me because I was vegan before.
Yeah.
So you brought me back to my veganism. Talk to me about being vegan, staying healthy, and how that helps you with your art.
Well, first I'll say I just had a wonderful conversation with Tabitha Brown about her veganism. And she said she doesn't look at it as a limiting thing. She tells you have extra options now. And so I know people think, oh, I want to really eat food. You have extra options to eat food when you start to discover vegan things. But when it came to the health of it all, two things I was impacted by. Bodybuilders who refused to go vegan or be vegan, they all had switched to vegan protein. And this was years ago because they thought it was just better for their bodies. Like they found it more digestible. So these like heavy meat eaters, they were using vegan protein. So that was sort of like, light bulb. And then I was just watched a video by Annette Larkins, 72-year-old vegan. And she just looked so young and youthful and just healthy. And she was vegan. And I looked up old vegans after that to see if she was a fluke or what. All these old vegans in their 70s looked like they were in their 30s or 40s. And they were moving and operating as if they were younger too. So that was a big thing. It was physicality was important for me. So once I saw that video, done deal. I'm going vegan. I made a 3-year plan, and I knew I couldn't do it overnight. If I did overnight, I'd fail and I'd go back. So I said, give up red meat the first year, pescatarian the second year, and third year I went vegan. And it's been almost 2015. So how many years has that been now?
That's amazing.
Yeah, almost 8 years now. Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, the better you feel, the more you can have your space to create.
Yeah.
I always end with a question, and this question is, if you could change the world, how would you change it and why? I'll answer first, so it'll give you a couple seconds. Yeah. And it doesn't have to be altruistic. It can be something silly. Yeah. So mine is, I would institute Free Candy Friday. I know sugar's not great for you, but it can give you a boost. And I feel like that would just make people happier and just make the world a better place. Like, just go get you a piece of candy and stop complaining. Don't have road rage. Eat some candy.
I like that. I think along the same lines, but I would do like mandatory meditation. Yeah.
I love that.
You need an hour of mandatory meditation, like at the same hour every day that the entire world has to do it. Everyone stops, do your thing.
I think that would help us too.
Yeah. Self-reflection can be
Self-reflection is important. Okay, well, thank you so much for being here. Tell everyone where they can find you.
You can find me at Shaka Strong on Twitter, Instagram, and Snapchat. I just started a new podcast called Wander Well. You can get on all streaming platforms, Spotify, iTunes, the whole deal. And we're at wanderwellliving.com.
And I will have that all linked in the description.
Amazing.
Thank you so much for listening and or watching. Please like, subscribe, follow. It really helps the channel, and it's free to you. Creatives, your art brings light and love into the world, and I love and support you. Keep creating.